Hello. Good morning. Welcome to the Spiritual Warrior Facebook. I'm still on Facebook. I'm still thinking about it. Welcome to the Spiritual Warrior weekly live. We have moved from Facebook to YouTube, and I can't get that out of my head. And to be honest, I'm still working on getting the energy of what it's a very different energy to be talking on YouTube than it is to be talking in my cozy little Facebook group. So, welcome. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, I would so appreciate you subscribing as we are building this channel here. And we will stay in the Facebook group, the Spiritual Warrior Facebook group, but we're also building here. So welcome as your people are popping on. I'm so glad that you are here. Hi, Janet. Hi, Barbara. Thanks for being here so much. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is how do you trust your intuition? And so right before we got on live, I was thinking about what's the difference between your being like intuitive, your intuition and being psychic. So I was thinking and tuning into that, and like they feel like two very different things to me. So with intuition, every day when you're driving your car, when you're talking to people, when you go into a grocery store, just doing daily things and daily activities, you're intuitive. You're tapping into intuition. Just like take for example, driving a car. It's so intuitive. You're paying attention, you're in the car, but you're also driving from a very intuitive place. So if you see someone from your peripheral vision or all the things, you're operating a lot out of intuition. If someone feels like they're aggressive on the road, you can actually feel that person. If someone is, yeah, just so we are constantly in the game of intuition on an individual basis. Even when you're talking or having a conversation with someone, whether you realize it or not, you're intuitively reading their energy. You're reading where they are, you're reading where they're coming from, and it's computing within you deeply. So we are very intuitive beings by nature. Now, even when you are on social media, or even when you're hi Maria, good morning. Even when you're on your phone, like just the clicking is intuitive. Kids, it kind of there's a whole other thing we could talk about how it takes away our creativity, but even those moments too, you're clicking, you're seeing where to go, you're following in your intuition. Now, being psychic, or tapping, like, and make intuitive readings or psychic, that is a whole other game in my experience. Being psychic means that it's not this like fly by the seat of your pants intuition that we need to have to survive being on this planet. It's more where you are tapped in, right? Like you're tapped in, you're moving past your ego, and you're tapped into a very aligned and intuitive place. That is a completely different game than your intuition. Now, I'll come back to that in a minute. When it comes to trusting your intuition, let's just talk about someone like me, right? Let's just talk about someone like me. I'm gonna see my video starting to stutter. So let me see if I can close some of these windows, and it will help. Someone like me, like I am a talking head right now on a Zoom, on a YouTube video. You have to really use your intuition and your own inner guidance when you're listening to other people, particularly people who are talking about spirituality or emotions or psychic ways of being, or like, cosmic things, shamanic things. You really tapping into your intuition and not just gobbling up whatever anyone is saying, including myself, but really tapping into, does that land for me? Is what he or she's saying, does that feel good in my body? And sometimes it's like, yes, I fully align with that person. I've been listening to this woman named Ireland Clark. I'm like obsessed with her. Um, she's like young. She's 20, I don't even know, probably 26, 27. She's on YouTube. You should check her out. She's really out there. Like the things that she talks about, you have to really feel, and I don't even understand half the things that she's talking about because they're very scientific, they're very quantum, they're very multidimensional and cosmic, but there's something about her where I listen to her, and I've listened to some of her talks over and over and over again so that I can understand what she's saying, because it's so smart and a little bit more analytical than I'm used to. I'm very emotional, I'm very feeling, I'm very like, okay, I feel this, so I'm going to go over here. But this woman, Ireland Clark, she's talking about really radical things like the moon. Is the moon real? Is the moon actually the moon? And these are things that I have felt my whole life. Like I have always questioned the moon. That's a whole other life, but I've always questioned the moon. Like there's something for me where I feel kind of allergic to the moon, where people are doing like moon ceremonies and rituals that I never wanted anything to do with any of that. And I still don't want to have anything to do with moon rituals. And in my work, I don't talk about the moon very much. I don't follow the moon. I like the moon. It's pretty. But anyway, she was talking about the moon and she landed for me. My intuition was like, oh, yes, you are putting words to something I've always felt. So I started listening to more and more of her stuff. So my intuition was led to her. And I was led to her through another person that I really resonate with. His name is Steve Noble. I love his meditations. Check him out. And then there are other people that are on Zoom, on like online, and they just don't land with me. So really tapping into, are the people such as like someone like myself, are they speaking truth into what you already feel, already know, or what you're hungry to know, right? Or what you're hungry to feel. That is all guided by intuition. So I do intuitive readings and I love doing them. I love doing intuitive readings and I'm good at them. Like I'm really good at them. And it's not even about me. It's about like, I'm able to move my ego aside so I can channel your guides and I can channel the master teachers and I can channel my guides and I can channel your soul. So it's more about like pushing my shit aside so that I can tap in. And that's what I want to come back to as far as like psychic versus intuitive. But where I'm very careful in like right on Wednesday, I'm going to be releasing an invitation for 12 spots for intuitive readings. I do this maybe 3 or 4 times a year because I don't put it on my website. I don't advertise it and I don't do them that often because here's why. I really want to empower people. I want people to be like, not rely on intuitive readings or psychics to tell them what your life is like. But sometimes we need a little like, I need it sometimes like, you know what, I'm too close to this situation, or I'm too close to this. I just need someone I can trust to look under the hood of my soul and my energy and give me a reading. And I can take what I want and leave the rest. So I don't do a lot of intuitive readings for that reason, because I was noticing like when people are giving me their power or trying to give me their power, I won't take your power, but trying to give me their power. And it's like, you got this. So when I do readings, it's very clear. You take what you want and leave the rest. And that's with everything. And sometimes the reading will just spark what you want. You already know it anyway. It's just like sometimes we need a little like a little something extra. So when it comes to trusting your intuition, this is where we all get in trouble. How many times have you said to yourself, oh, I didn't listen to my intuition. I knew ... but I did it anyway because I felt pressured or because I felt like I was afraid of judgment, or I didn't want to go against the norm, or simply I didn't trust myself. And then it comes back to bite you. Our intuition is almost always spot on. Our head, our mind lies. Let me see. How much can we actually talk about with other people that are not aware of the gifts you have? I'm not sure I understand your question, Maria. Can you write it in a different way? Just because I don't understand what you're asking, and then I'm happy to answer it. But how many times, like, our mind lies, right? Like, we see things through the perception that we want to see them through in that day or in that moment. And our mind is really tricky, but our body never lies. Our body tells a story, and our intuition doesn't lie. So how many times have you said, you know what, I didn't honor my intuition, I didn't listen, and it comes back to bite you? Like, you meet someone, or you're interviewed at a job, or someone says something to you and it just doesn't feel right. But you go ahead. I've done it 1,000 times, but you go ahead and move forward. Now, what keeps me, this is my personal journey, and maybe you can relate to this. What keeps me from honoring my intuition, even to this day, is my people pleaser. Sometimes my people pleaser, wanting to please, wanting to be the good girl, wanting to be liked, will override my intuition. Like, I know something isn't right, but I'm like, oh, well, they really need this, or blah, blah, blah. Like, I'll talk myself out of my own intuition. So I would love to hear, like, have you ever talked yourself out of your own intuition? My girlfriend and I, we did a spread. Now, that's another thing with the oracle cards. They're a map, right? They're not there to tell you your life. Like, they're there to give you guidance. And every deck of cards, every oracle, I'm trying to look for some, but I don't have them right in front of me. I'm very particular about what oracle cards I look at. And I don't use them to tell me, have them make decisions for me, because that's a dangerous game, right? Like, they can give you guidance. Like, you can get a card and be like, okay, that's affirmation of I'm going in the right direction. That's affirmation that this is how I've been feeling, or interesting. I'm going to take that information from this oracle card and see how I can utilize it to move myself forward. Right. But my girlfriend and I were doing a spread, and it was about this guy she was dating. And it was so clear in the cards that this was not going to end well. It was like very, very, very clear. But both of us, I liked him for her. My head liked him for her. Her head liked him for her. And we talked ourselves out of the what was glaringly there from spirit. I'm like, that's probably not right. I think that we're off. That's not good. Blah, blah, blah. Of course, it ended. It was a freaking shit show, and it ended terribly. But we had talked ourselves out of the evidence. But even if we had tapped in deeply to the intuition and the red flags that were being presented, it was obvious that this was not going to end well. So how many times have you talked yourself out of, I don't think so, oh, it's going to be fine? So when you begin to do that, that is when you get to go into yourself as like a freaking spiritual warrior. And this is where I have been practicing lately. Instead of landing in, I'm going to do this and please this person, even though it's going against my gut, or I'm going to do this because I think it's the right thing to do. My head is telling me, but my intuition, my gut, my third chakra, whatever it is telling me glaringly, this is do not go, proceed with caution. I am very much practicing standing in that and being a warrior and being true to myself no matter what, being true to my intuition no matter what. And the more you do that, the more you pause, the more you trust it, the more you allow yourself to feel it and not react, the more you're going to be in your power, and the more you're going to be guided to the life that we really want. Because our intuition is there to guide us exactly where we want to go. It's your divinity. It's the divine voice within telling us it's never going to steer you wrong. Where it's going to steer us wrong is when we don't listen. Now, this could be another live. Your intuition is very right. It's there. It's about slowing down, listening, acting on trust. And then the psychic gifts being able to do an intuitive reading or tap into someone psychically or feel into your telepathic powers or your all the clairs, clairsentient, clairaudient, all that. That takes skill and practice to be able to really slow down, move your ego aside and become a clear channel and really, really drop in. And you can do that. You can learn to do that on where you're talking to someone, you're plugged in, or you're plugged into a situation and you are allowing yourself to receive the information. Some people call it downloads. Some people call it, information from guides or the divine, or even your higher self. But that takes practice to really get masterful in slowing down, dropping in, tapping in, and then listening, and then, of course, trusting it. And this is not just about doing readings for other people. This is about navigating life. What is real? What feels good to you in the media, in the world, in your job, in your family? So basically, as we're wrapping up, intuition is about, quite frankly, trusting it is non-reactive. Really, really moving through your reactions, watching your reactions, because when we react, we don't listen, we don't hear. And it could take a millisecond of a pause so that you can feel into yourself. When we react in anger or out of people pleasing or haste or whatever it is, we're not going to hear it, and we'll feel it and ignore it. So trusting, moving through reactions, you have absolute control over your reactions. Now, there are some things I do understand that there are triggers people have, PTSD type triggers, where it happens in less than a millisecond and you're in a trigger. That I totally get and I understand. So because I have them and I've spent 20 years supporting people in unwinding from those triggers, understanding them and releasing the triggers. It's often from PTSD or some sort of traumatic experience. So if that's happening, then you're like, okay, that continues to be a pattern. It's just something to look at, something to work at in a very loving, self-acceptance way. So you are an intuitive being. I am an intuitive being. We are in our true essence, our multidimensional essence. We are so beyond the mind. We are so beyond the ego. Just being alive on the planet is intuitive. You watch a baby, they come in and they know what to do. It's all intuition. I need to eat. I need to cry. I need to be held. That's all intuitive. So we live in that. It's just learning how to master it and actually listen and trust yourself. Okay, I'm going to see what Maria's question was. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. Why are you hiding it, Maria? That's not my dog. She says, I've been hiding the fact that I can heal with my touch, my right hand to be exact. I forget if you are on here, is right masculine or feminine? I can never remember which side is which. Yeah. So Maria, this happens. So many of us that have this natural gift that may seem like, out of the ordinary or out of the box. And that is a gift from God. That is a divine gift that if you know with your right hand that you can support and heal people. I'm going to say that gets to be more important than other people's judgment. That gets to be more important than other people's judgment. So Maria, if you think about Martin Luther King, even Jesus, Buddha, all of these amazing healers and leaders that came through in our lives, if they were worried about the judgment from other people, we'd be fucked. You know what I'm saying? Your gift gets to be bigger than your fear. So I would love to stretch you. I would love to encourage you to go for it. And here's another thing. Use your intuition. Here's another thing of like, if someone's not safe to practice that on, or if someone's not safe to tell them about your gift, just don't. Find people who are going to get it, or who are at least going to be open to receiving it. It's like when a pet dies, right? Some people just do not get the grief with a pet. They just don't get it. They're like, oh, it's a cat, it's a dog, get another one. So when you are in that type of grief, don't tell people that don't get it how much you're grieving. Talk to people who get it. Talk to people who understand it. Talk to people who are at least willing to kind of empathize and with it. You know what I'm saying? So when you're starting out, Maria, just, use your intuition on where it's safe, but don't hide, because that's a huge gift. That's an amazing gift. I did Jackie, rule my intuition. I now see that my mind, the ego said, but I can help that situation. Yeah. Yes. So help your situation. Yes. Just keep listening. The more, and then not even listening, but honoring. Every time you listen and honor, it's like building a muscle. It's going to be like, okay, I'm just in it now. Wait, my people pleaser's here? No thanks. I got it. I see you. I know that this is normally where I go, or whatever that's mine as an example, but this is more important. My intuition is telling me truth. You're welcome, Maria. Yeah, the non-reaction. Yes, the reaction, it's like, oh my gosh, the reaction is what keeps us out of power, keeps us out of intuition, and keeps us out of connection. And you have mastery over that. And like I said, if there's a trigger that's something like, and I get that, then really find someone to work with around that trigger, so it's not running you anymore. You know what I mean? I appreciate you too. Thank you so much. Yes, Maria, go for it. It's a gift, right? It's such a gift. And that gets, like I said, that gets to be bigger than your fear. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll be back on here next Tuesday at 8:30. If you have not subscribed to this channel, I would deeply appreciate it if you did. And if you know anybody who would benefit from listening to this video, please send them this way. And I will see you next Tuesday or before. Oh, and next week I have a live free 3-day challenge. The information will be coming out soon. And I've been downloading, my intuition has been downloading an incredible piece of work, something that I've been doing naturally my whole life and have been mastering it, and I want to share it with you. So that will be coming out. I'll be going doing a 3-day live early November. So we have some time, but I just wanted to give you a heads up because it's going to be really powerful. All right, I'll see you next week. Bye. Listen to your intuition today.